Hello and welcome to the Jurassic Report. I just wanted to give a quick thank you to everybody that is tuning in to this video. Today we're going to be talking about the Jurassic World tabletop game. We have some new details, as well as details on the first time that you actually might be able to get your hands on it, assuming that you are near Indiana or possibly already planning on going to Gencon. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get right to it. Alright, so let's kick off by first talking about when you might be able to get a first look with your own eyes at the Jurassic World tabletop game, which is going to be shown at Gencon, which takes place in Indianapolis, Indiana from August 1st to 4th. So Exod Games is going to be at Gencon. They don't have their own booth, but they are going to have a part of the booth from the Game on Tabletop booth. And if you don't know what Game on Tabletop is, I don't blame you, because previously to about a month ago, I didn't know what it was either, but it is a Kickstarter like website for that has a focus on like board games and tabletop games. Exod Games is actually going to be launching a late backer campaign on Game on Tabletop, which explains why they're going to be showing at their booth. And that too is actually supposed to launch on August 1st, which will coincide with the first day of Gen Con. So that's pretty exciting in and of itself. Moving on from there, they did mention they are only going to be showing off content from the core box, so there won't be any content from the two expansions, nor will any of the content from like the stretch goals that were met during the Kickstarter campaign. If you are considering going to Gen Con, the tickets will range anywhere from $15 all the way up to $75. So for Thursday and Friday, tickets are $60. For Saturday, tickets are $75. And finally, the bargain day is Sunday with tickets at $15. So if you want to go to Gen Con to check out the Jurassic World tabletop game, but that's primarily your reason that you want to go, Sunday is definitely looks like a good bet. I'm a decent drive from Indianapolis, Indiana, but I will possibly consider going just to check it out. And there's actually some other Jurassic World games at Gen Con. Mondo is going to be showing off their Jurassic World game that is actually a partnership with another company that I can't think of off the top of my head. But there is going to be other Jurassic World or Jurassic Park content at Gen Con, so there are a couple reasons to check it out. And also, if you're just a fan of board games or tabletop games in general, there should be a lot of cool stuff there. So that being said, if you are interested, the Exod game people will be at booth 2344, which is actually the Game on Tabletop booth. So looking forward to seeing what news comes from that, and possibly might even get some eyes on time myself if I manage to make a trip over there over the weekend. All right, so next up, we actually have some new details about the Jurassic World tabletop game. And this all comes from a live stream that was over 8 hour long. So I've kind of parsed all that down and kind of taken some of the big tidbits, the major news, and the major talking points from that live stream that was over on their Facebook page for Exod Games. The CEO for Exod Games, everybody is from France, and the accent, and nothing against her at all, but her accent does make some of it hard to understand, at least for me personally. So there's some things that I am super clear on, but there are some things that are somewhat questionable. And I'll kind of cover that as we get to that. But I did break down the live stream into three main parts, which is general news, details about the late backer campaign, which, as I previously mentioned, will be on Game on Tabletop, and finally some delivery news or some clarifications on the delivery, which is certainly exciting there. So first, let's kick off with the general news. We already covered that Exod Games will be at Gen Con. Excited to see if we get more information from that. They do have permission to use the Ford Explorer trademark for the or the Ford trademark rather for the Ford Explorer. So that one won't have to make any tweaks to make it look more generic or anything. They are waiting to hear back from Jeep. So the Jeep might have to have a couple of trademark or some tweaks to make it look more generic, but the Jeep is pretty iconic. So I don't know how far they can go to try to get around the trademark if they don't get permission to use it. Moving on from there, they will release a painting guide based upon the colors that Universal has kind of supplied, and they plan on trying to do like a crossover for popular paint brands. So whatever brand is your favorite paint, if you are already into tabletop gaming, of course. If you're not really a big player of tabletop games where you paint your own minis, like I am, this will be all new to you. So this will be a good thing to have a guide to kind of give you at least get started, and you can always put your own spin on things too. But it is nice to have something kind of to use as a base. Next, we have some news that Exod Games and Cimmeria projects are going to be merging. This was a point of question, or I don't know what exactly you want to say, but it was kind of somewhat confusing that like Cimmeria projects seem to be completely new, but they're almost set up as a kind of a middleman. But now they seem to be kind of simply merging into one, and the end result is what they're going to be called is called Exod Studio rather than Exod Games and Cimmeria projects. And she did mention that they are planning additional Jurassic World / Jurassic Park content from having access to the Jurassic license. So it'll be interesting to see what all comes from that. So that kind of wraps up the general news segment. Next up, we have the late backer campaign. So the late pledge will launch on August 1st on Game on Tabletop. And it will last until roughly mid-September, anywhere from like September 15th to the 20th. So quite a lengthy campaign to give you plenty of time to put your pledges in. So if you didn't make it into the Kickstarter and do want to back and get access to the Jurassic World tabletop game, go ahead and start saving up your money, because it looks like you have a little over a month and a half before that campaign will conclude. So late backers will get the Kickstarter exclusive Mosasaur. It's unclear exactly if they'll get all the Kickstarter exclusive items, but the Mosasaur is confirmed. I also believe the Brachiosaur is confirmed to, or will be likely to. That's almost something that we'll have to wait till we actually get the late backer campaign to see what all is included. Because I'm not 100% sure on the Brachiosaur. She mentions the Stegosaur, she mentions the Mosasaur and the Stegosaur, but just previous to talking about what Kickstarter exclusives that the late backers will get, she was talking about how the Stegosaur was just got approved by Universal, and in the Kickstarter campaign it was kind of just a silhouette because they didn't have a model because it was pending approval from Universal. So I think this was just a slip because the Stegosaur wasn't labeled as a Kickstarter exclusive. So I'm hoping she meant the Brachiosaur, because she goes on to talk about how these are definitely not going to be retailed because they're very large models, which definitely applies to the Mosasaur and the Brachiosaur. So thus they're going to be very expensive to make and will not be retail items. So some unclarities there, but the Mosasaur is confirmed to be given to members of the late backing campaign. The Brachiosaur is likely, but not 100% confirmed at this point in time. Moving on there, we have some stretch goals that she kind of talked about in the kind of spread out throughout the live show because it wasn't super structured. There were questions throughout the live show, so at points you kind of have these kind of divergent paths, and I try to make the most sense of kind of what all was going on. So the Fallen Kingdom submarine may show up as a stretch goal. There actually might be a full water map. That's kind of something that it seems like the Exod guys and gals, I guess. I just kind of use the guy term generically, guys. So I know some people don't like that, but I'm not just meaning males. Just use it super generically. But anyways, back on topic. The Fallen Kingdom submarine, as well as a water map, might become a reality. And it seems like Exod is definitely interested in what feedback they're getting from the people that are backing the campaign. And it looks like if enough people are requesting like a full water map, that might become a reality, and the Fallen Kingdom submarine might be a stretch goal to kind of take full advantage of a water map. She did mention that like that would include new rules and stuff, but if there is enough interest, it would seem like it'd be worth it. Also, the Spinosaurus will be a stretch goal in the late Becker campaign. Were other dinosaurs mentioned, but it wasn't 100% clear if she confirmed that, or if like they have access to a lot of models from Universal, and it seems like even beyond stretch goals, there will be an ongoing release schedule of these models over time, like through the retail, and that means, so like it doesn't seem like they're trying to get everything done right off the bat, even with stretch goals. It looks like we will have a ongoing trickle of new models even after the launch of the core box and the 2 expansions. Our final segment on the Jurassic World tabletop game is the delivery news and clarifications. So the core box and the 2 expansions are going to be launching June 2020, with the stretch goals launching, or rather shipping, 3 months later in the September 2020 timeframe. Of course, life might happen and unforeseen events might cause delays, but that is the current time frame that is expected for deliveries. So with that being said, if you are a backer, you do have 2 different options. You have Wave 1 and Wave 2. So Wave 1, people that choose Wave 1 will receive 2 packages. You will receive 1 package in June 2020 that includes the core box and the 2 expansions, and then you will receive a second box in September, which will include all the stretch goal dinosaurs and vehicles and scenery items, etc., etc. You do have an option for Wave 2 to save on some shipping costs, and this will deliver everything together in September. So if you just back the core box, for instance, you'll get your core box as well as all the stretch goals in September 2020. If you went for everything, you'll get the core box, the 2 expansions, and the stretch goals, everything in one box in the September 2020 timeframe. So it's nice to have some clarification here, because I do know that a lot of people were expecting that the stretch goals would ship with the core box and the expansions. Alright, so that wraps up today's video that covered kind of some of the new revelations and new details about the Jurassic World tabletop game that will be launching about a year from now. So thanks for watching this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I do greatly appreciate all the support that I get on this channel. And until next time, Zach.